Pregame.com.
Welcome back to pregame.tv. As we approach the start of Major League Baseball, we're going to have a series of baseball videos. We'll be talking about teams' futures bets. We'll be talking about season win totals. And we're going to kick it off. Why not? My Pittsburgh Pirates. They set the season win total at 84.5, guys. This one, I love the under. I had one of my key guys that I talk to a lot in Pittsburgh, keeps me abreast of the stuff going on in Pittsburgh and all of the trades and everything, the signings, and we talked about this one this weekend. The Pirates just, I feel, left too many people get away from last year's team. Surprise last year to many as well as they played. I was happy. It's been a long time since I've seen a playoff game in Pittsburgh, but think about what they did. How many times have we seen a team come from nowhere to have a good season? There's always a natural regression, I think, the following year, and then they build the year following that. What are your guys' thoughts here before I actually break this team down?
I like that they went and made sure that McCutchen's going to be around. To me, that's huge. He is the centerpiece. You have Alvarez. You have some key parts there. There's potential there. And I was going to hook you up with dinner with Roberto Clemente Jr. when he came out here, but I tell him you went under 84.5. There's no way you're getting dinner.
Well, we'll lie about that. We won't tell him about that because I would love that.
He watches pregame. You kidding me?
I'm not going to make a definitive decision yet because a lot of this depends on who's going to make the team. When I take a look, last year they won 94 games. But if you go by runs scored, runs against, they should have won 86.5 games. So basically, that's where I put the base coming into this season. So what have they done to lose 2 more games? Well, you talk about some of the players that they've lost. I'm not that impressed. A.J. Burnett had a terrific season. Mm-hmm. But they lost Garrett Jones, they lost Marlon Byrd, Justin Morneau, John Buck. Garrett Jones, if you're looking at WAR, he's basically your replacement level player. Marlon Byrd, outstanding year, never do it again. He's done. I mean, I can't believe he had the year he had. Justin Morneau, ever since he had the concussions, he's not the same player. John Buck's a good team leader. He's not that great of a player. A.J. Burnett's the big differential. And they brought in a couple of bench guys or whatever, but they brought in Edison Valdez from San Diego, who only pitched well because he pitched to San Diego. He's one of these guys that has major control problems. Now, granted, Pittsburgh's not the greatest hitting ball club or stadium, whatever, but he's not a very good player. So there's a big drop-off there from the pitching standpoint. But take a look at the guys they've got in the rotation. Francisco Liriano, he's not going to have the year he had last year. I mean, he's a guy who's battled injuries for his entire career. When he's on, he's very good. Garrett Cole, the good thing is he didn't pitch all season last year, so they're going to have him all year this year. But I think he excelled upon what everybody thought they were going to do last year. Wandy Rodriguez, good pitcher, who was injured all last year. So with him coming back and now he's throwing in spring training, I think that's going to help him. Charlie Morton, a different, renewed player than what he was back the last few years. Now he's gone through surgery. Now he's become a better player. I think he's going to do better. But the reason why I say I don't want to make any commitments first is they've got a couple really good minor leaguers. They've got Polanco, right fielder. This guy's supposed to have all the tools. This could literally be the best defensive and fastest outfield we may see in our lifetimes. All 3 of these guys, Marte, McCutchen, and Polanco, pitchers are going to love having all 3 guys in the outfield. If this guy makes a team out of spring training, I don't want to go under on this team because Tabata's not a very good player, and he's a bad defensive player, so that's going to be a huge differential. And they also got Jamison Talion, a star stud pitcher. If he makes the rotation, I don't want to go under on this team. But if Pittsburgh keeps both these guys in the minor leagues and doesn't want to pay the money and keeps them down there through June or whatever, I'm with you. I think this is a team that's really going to have a drop-off this year because you take a look at their everyday lineup. Other than Marte's a good player, McCutchen's a great player, obviously. Pedro Alvarez, swing or miss, but the guy's a pretty good player. Neil Walker, Russell Martin, catcher. But the rest of their guys are journeyman players, replacement-level players. And you can't have 4 replacement-level players in there, especially when they go to the American League and have to use a DH, because they don't have enough sticks on that bench. I mean, there's not a very good hitting team.
I think they're going to spend some money, Marco, first off, because the fans got a taste of winning. And I know you're from there, and I know, first off, I disagree with you on Bird. If Bird stays healthy wherever he's at, I think he's going to be, he's a contact hitter. I think he had a great year last year because he stayed healthy first time in a long time. I also think that Liriano's going to have a great year. I think what we're used to seeing with Liriano, same thing with Bird, is he couldn't stay healthy for the full season. I think if Liriano stays healthy, he will be a 1-2 ace-type pitcher, and I think your pitching staff is very tough, and that's why it is tough right now to go under initially if that young staff comes through and the potential of the guys coming up from the minor leagues. But I understand a lot of things went well for them last year, and that's the whole thing. Will those same breaks go their way early on like they did last season?
Okay, well, we're going to go overtime on this video because this is actually my pick. You wouldn't know it here. Great stuff, Brian. I'm glad you stole my thunder. But the points that I'm going to disagree with you on, Bird and Justin Morneau, the Pirates needed and felt they had to go out and get those guys to survive the pennant race last year. So if you thought you needed them last year, what makes you think you don't need him this year? Now, if they bring the young guy up and he can make an instant impact in right field, yeah, but I think they're going to miss those two guys. They need somebody at first base. The pitching staff, once we get to the bullpen, not a problem. The Pirates bullpen, I love the bullpen.
I believe
that's the strength of this team for sure.
If they stay healthy again,
okay.
too.
Well, you've got three guys. You got, Mazzario to set it up. You've got Melanson,
who
the eighth inning,
nice when Gurley went down.
and then Jason Gurley to close it.
Watson and Morris are.
But absolutely, the problem here is you've got to replace 200 solid innings from A.J. Burnett. That's one thing that you've got to do. Liriano, great year last year. He had a perfect year last year. You couldn't ask for any more. If he, just has 80% of that, it's going to be a good year. But you need those wins. Where are they going to get the other wins? Garrett Cole lived up to all the expectations and the fanfare coming up from the minor leagues. But I've seen this too often with young pitchers. Remember, they didn't bring him up till, I think it was June last year. Now he's going to have to pitch a full year in the major leagues. And we've seen these young pitchers a lot of times hit the wall in their second year because they're not used to pitching the major league number of innings when you're up in the majors.
Hello, I'm a Mets fan, Matt Harvey, man.
Okay.
So.
Also, first time around the league, that was an advantage for him last year as well. I think the X factor is Wandy Rodriguez. The Pirates got absolutely nothing from him last year because of the injuries. If he comes back healthy and has the type of year that he used to have in Houston when he was Houston's ace, then he can make up a lot of A.J. Burnett. But that's a big if he can do it. So I've got too many question marks. You're asking Liriano to do something for a second year that he hasn't done in a long time. Nobody saw last year coming. You're asking Garrett Cole to be able to maintain what he did coming up through the majors for the first time, and you've got a guy coming off an injury. I think those are three holes that you need all three of them to get those extra wins. And how many times last year did the Pirates win those 2-1, 3-2 games last year? They're going to need to do that again, and there's no margin for error.
That's what I was pointing out, where they won 94, and they really should have only won 86 and a half. And the points you made about the Liriano and everything, yes, these are injured players that played really well last year, but they've been injured players. So we've got a lot of at-bats out of Marlon Byrd. You got a lot of innings out of Liriano. I don't know if you can count on that each and every year, and that's the question I have.
All right, that's why, guys, it's my free pick. I'm going to go ahead and go with the under here, as much as it pains me to do so. And we really didn't talk. This division's still tough. Cincinnati's a good team. St. Louis is a good team. They're going to knock each other off a lot like they did last year as well. Take some wins against each other where if they're all log-jammed, up at the top.
Don't forget the wins you get from the Brewers and the Cubs, though.
Well, I'll disagree on that, but only because the Cubs, if you take a look at the minor leagues right now, other than maybe Boston, I think the Cubs are just stacked in the minor league. You take a look at the top 100 prospects.
I'd just bring up their whole AAA team then and just play them.
They may be up on the team by the end of the year because they are studs in the minor leagues. Now, who knows if they'll make it all the way up to the majors, but it's one of those teams that Chicago, they've got a bright future for the first time in a long time.
Theo Epstein, what's his contract situation? What, he's got an 8-year plan, 10-year plan? I just want to know because This guy came over, and I'm just wondering, because he's not spending any money. They never went after Tanaka. That pissed off a lot of Cub fans like my buddy Chuck.
Yeah.
I'm
The
not
Cubs
big
are the
Tim
Cubs.
Tanaka
What can I say? All right, guys, there you have it. I'm going to go under this game here in Vegas. They got it at 84.5 on the Pirates. Reno, Atlantis Casino actually was the first to open up the win totals. They did it a couple days before the LVH here in Vegas, and they actually opened it at 85.5, and Vegas brought it out, which I think LVH is a sharper book, much sharper book, and they brought it at 84.5, telling you, let's go under, and that's where I'm going. That's my free pick. We're going to have a ton of these in the next several weeks as we lead up to opening day, so stay tuned here on pregame.tv for all of your Major League Baseball coverage.